Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Morning, Surajji. How are you?
Good morning, Shalendraji. I'm good. How are you?
बस ओके फाइन मार्केट तो बिल्कुल बिल्कुल डल हो गई
Welcome.
डिस्कस
Yeah, we're going to discuss the market.
waiting
Welcome,
for
welcome, Anukrant. Welcome, Divakar. Welcome, Hitesh ji. Hi, Prateek. Hi, Kushagra. Hi, Rahul ji. And we also have Abhishek joining in. Thank you guys for coming on a Sunday morning. Yes, as Shalendraji is saying, markets are turning downwards. There are, of course, many reasons for that. Um, is there something which is sustainable? Is the downward journey really going to be very long? Are there still any opportunities in the markets for us, to get started? If we have some money, we want to deploy in a very safe area, we should discuss that. And I think those are the overarching themes as to how should we think about the next month, next 2 months or so. Because if there is a crash, I think it will take a long time to recover. So with that, let me begin today's game plan session. It's the 10th in our series, and I want to begin with a disclaimer. You know what to do, starting with Mr. Abhishek Anand. Yeah, Abhishek, can you unmute yourself? I can't hear you. Be a bit louder. Abhishek, just say your full name and I agree.
Abhishek Anand and I'm agree.
Thank you. Anukrant.
Anand, I agree.
Thank you. Divakar.
Vakaraj I agree.
Thank you. Hitesh ji.
I'm Hitesh Chawla. I agree with the disclaimer.
Thank you. Kushagra.
Kushag Agrawal, I agree with the disclaimer.
Thank you. Pratik. Pratik Jain ji. Okay. Not here. Rahul Rakanpal ji.
राहुल लखनपाल आई एग्री
Thank you. Shailendra ji.
आई शरण शुक्ला एग्री
Thank you. Thank you, guys. So, before I get started with what's happening in the global economy, let me share with you some good news because I think most of you know that there have been some very, I would say, uh, so I would say big crashes here and there. We'll discuss that. We'll have some news, but some good news which we discussed last time around. So, Coal India this week went up like crazy. So Coal India, which normally does not move that much, showed us good jumps like close to 8% and so. And related to that, again, power sector, thermal energy, as what we have been talking about. There were other companies also like NHPC and NLC India. So I don't know if you've heard these names. By the way, they are both Navratnas and Mini Ratnas. So they are pretty good PSUs in the mining sector, providing thermal power and some kind of power generation activities. So this, we've been talking about that power sector as a whole has been rising like crazy. India dependence on oil has to be reduced, and uh, power generation has to be amplified if, let's say, electric vehicle dream has to come true. So Adani Power, if you see 1 week change, really good. NHPC really good. NLC and Coal India, which we discussed in depth. We also discussed shipping last time. If you recall, shipping was a theme that we talked about when we said that there is Sri Lanka crisis and there are a couple of stocks which could rise, and this is how they moved in the current week. And I was quite surprised by the movement in the Great Eastern Shipping Company. Really nice 14% jump. There were others. We've been saying that the port traffic has going to be diverted from Colombo to the Indian ports. So you had Mazagon Dock, you had Adani ports. Again, in a very bearish market, overall bearish market, these stocks were rising. So I was pretty happy with at least there were some pockets where we could find growth and increase our profits. I want to come to now the global picture before discussing the other themes. So this is what was happening on a Friday. Americas Europe went down like crazy, 2.5% down. The Dow Jones, S&P, and I think this came. The effect was felt in Nifty also, more towards end of the session, toward the end of the session. So if I, let's say, pick up, this is a 25-minute view of the Nifty. Uh, post post noon, I think this is the fall that came in. Of course, the market did open with a gap down, but as we are seeing on a Friday, how the US markets have reacted to some announcements from the Fed, I think there is going to be a deeper fall from Monday onwards. We can expect things to be a bit volatile. And because if you see right now on a Friday, where uh, Asian markets did not fall that much because I think the news did not flow out till then. Same goes for India. There has to be same level of correction that we can see, so that you know essentially we are saying we are all interrelated. The globalized world is there, so if a problem comes in into one part of the world, it has an impact on the other parts also. What we also additionally observed, the commodity prices also started to come down, which does not have much of a relief given that they had gone up so high. Even if one particular week or one particular day they do come down, the disruptions continue for a while. The growth or the input costs continue to hamper growth in a lot of sectors because of these prices. Uh, Moving on to the activity of FIIs, DIIs, if you just noticed during this entire week, FIIs had not spared us. Not a single day went when they were not selling. So if you see these red color bars, they are much longer in length, and it suggests that they were primarily focused on selling. What saved us was this kind of activity by the DIIs. I mean, mutual funds in India, I think they are getting a lot of money from the retail investors. With the story of India rising has been, I think, a clear winner, and people are convinced that stock market is the future for them to grow their money. Now, there is, at this point in time, I think that's a decision making, week or a month we are sitting on, where should things move from here. And I think this is a good point to discuss. um, as Charlie Munger puts up this term, Lollapalooza effect, which means there are a lot of factors which are intertwined, and they seem to have a extremely bigger or multiple sized effect on our thinking. So when you see what's going wrong in the world that could hamper India's growth, which is on the left hand side, and on the other side, right hand, where you can see what could possibly go right, and India might not be impacted that much with the global, uh, I would say, disruptions that are going on. So it could be very well that we end up on the right hand side because of various factors, and this guy controlling everything in his hand. And or it could be that we are still not ready, and because of the global challenges we will also go down with the rest of the world. So I'm opening up for discussion. I want to have some thoughts. I know, Divakar, you probably have some view on this one, as to how the economy or how the stock market will fare out this particular year. Will it continue to fall? Will it only show consolidation because these two effects are kind of neutralizing each other? Or we could say that India would be a total, um, I would say, winner because of its inherent, I would say, strengths that come in play. So what is your view?
Thanks, Sumit. I think I was sort of neutral and cautious until last week, but after the Fed speech, Fed said two things. One, he said 50 basis points in May. Number two, he said there will be front loading of interest rate hikes. So
Yeah.
these two things, and then there's also talk of quantitative tightening happening by May, end of May, I think. So all these three things are very negative for the market. It just simply means that money is being taken out of the market, right? And what's going to happen is all the high valuation sectors or high valuation stocks are going to get hammered like crazy. I mean, there was a time when you could, if you talk to any company, they would say 25%, 30% growth. But now, I think achieving 15% growth year on year is going to be, an achievement. So you have to start focusing and looking at that perspective, and keep in mind this thing, right? So when a company goes from 25% to 15% growth, it's degrowth,
Yeah.
right? So that means that their profits are going to fall by 30%, right? And what you're seeing that
Let me bring back the focus of the question. Why are DII still buying? Is this effect underway?
see, I never follow the DIIs. I always follow the FIIs.
Okay, because they have more money, literally double the money that we see the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you see inflation adjusted returns, the FIIs tend to outperform. So they know what they're doing. I don't think the DIIs know what they're doing, right? So or they just have enough liquidity that they just keep buying every day, and that value keeps reducing, right? But then the FIIs are doing the right thing, right? They know that money is being taken out of the table. Inflation is high, and the interest rates are going high. So might as well book profits, right? And India has been a strong performer, one of the best performing markets in the last 2 years. So I think we're in for a strong correction.
Yeah. Basically, we are saying enough of growth happening in the stock market. Those who took advantage in the last 2 years, I think the party is over now. Of course, don't expect too much of gain. But are you expecting a crash? And if it's a crash back to 14,000?
There is one more point. Achi, first ask Sumit's question. Answer that.
Yeah, I think I'm preparing for that. I'm preparing for a crash. I think the market will stabilize only after July. So I'm selling. I mean, what I'm basically doing is I'm selling more and more of the 18,000 calls. I don't think it will cross 18,000 for the next 3 months. That's my view.
Okay. So
I don't know.
basically,
I don't know where it will end up.
yeah.
14,000 could be a possibility.
See, it has tested 15,500 or something in the past. From there, it
Correct.
tried to go up. Of course, it can try and stop here to see if there is enough buying power at this stage. If this goes out, I think then the next stop is back to 14,000, right? And which is quite possible unless and until maybe Diwali or something that comes in.
But you have to keep two factors in mind which are coming in my mind. See, first the point is of the growth is okay, but the inflation factor. It can be USA, it can be Europe, it can be India. And the DI factor is after beating the inflation, the DI has got money. So where to plonk that money? That's why they are buying.
Have a look. Where were these guys, buying? So on Monday
Got
they
the
have
point.
put in
So
money on.
first is the investor has to first beat the inflation for his survival, and then he has to have surpluses to go for the buy.
तो कहीं तो डाल रहे हैं, SIP तो नहीं
हाँ,
रुक रही शेयर
SIP
की।
which are fully,
I am
that's the
I
point.
am actually looking at those sectors which are not heavyweights of Nifty. So heavyweights of Nifty continue to be our IT and tech. IT and banking. Okay, which are basically lowest in the spectrum of gap from 52-week high. Okay,
This
lowest
tech
right.
thing will go more down because of this Fed thing. What Diwakar ji has said is correct.
Yes.
Uh,
So
tech will go more down because of the
Nasdaq
West.
Nasdaq में काफी major falls आ रहे हैं because of course there have been overvaluations and all. But if to answer the question, if you still want to invest, I think these sectors which are commodity driven and which is the need of the hour, power sector, energy sector, that's where I think most of the buying is happening. And I want to show you very quickly. On a Monday they were buying these stocks, energy and power primarily. Defense also हमने पिछली बार भी discuss किया हुआ था. Energy
Because
again.
yesterday also there was a good discussion on two factors. First is Infosys has let down 80,000 jobs, and they have given the ultimatum of 6 months that no, these other companies should not recruit.
I mean,
You see,
Infosys ka, if I just give you the chart, it's probably right now kind of an oversold
oversold.
area, right?
That's
कहीं ना कहीं oversold भी हो चुका
and
है.
secondly, Fed अब देख रहा है यूएस का अपना जो राइस देख रहा है 4+2%. Our inflation is 6% will be for 3 quarterlies continuously. That means some planning is somewhere cockeyed.
होल्ड
If he says,
ऑन देख लेते हैं एक बार देख लेते हैं कि बिल्कुल
these are two
अपॉर्चुनिटी
key
खत्म हो
factors.
गई कहीं ना कहीं बची है. सो आई वाज जस्ट फोकसिंग ऑन वेयर आर दीस गाइस बाइंग. सो एनर्जी is still where DIIs are buying, power is where they are buying, defense is where they are buying. Again,
Correct.
this is on Tuesday, this was again on Wednesday. If you see, infrastructure focus अभी भी है. Then again कहीं ना कहीं healthcare भी थोड़ा सा बचा हुआ है. I don't think it's going to go for a crash. And then again infra. Where they are getting out is clearly IT and banking.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. They are the major weights here. And then same thing on Tuesday. I think not a clear view here, but this is what is being shown on a Friday. So how all these guys were under pressure. Again, financial and IT keeps coming up, during this week, and Nifty, of course, will continue to fall because of that. But
लिक्विडिटी बहुत है, लिक्विडिटी
are
बहुत है.
there pockets? Are there pockets? यही हमारा focus है. If I show you the sector rotation that has happened, बैंकिंग तो वापस नीचे है, आईटी तो पहले से ही नीचे बैठा हुआ था. पब्लिक सेक्टर एंटरप्राइजेस, आई वुड से अगेन इंफ्रा कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा सा ऊपर आ गया. आई वाज आल्सो सरप्राइज कि ऑटो भी थोड़ा थोड़ा ऊपर आ रहा है. सो
अब पिछले
दीज
उसमें
दीज नॉट ऑटो बिकॉज ऑटो के अंदर मार्जिन की चैलेंजेस रहेंगे, बट पब्लिक सेक्टर एंटरप्राइजेस and energy as a whole, I think that's where the promising area is. Just like I think in the previous crash of 2008, उसके बाद भी public sector enterprises or commodity driven sectors or stocks, they started to rise. This period is no different. If the country has to come back, I think government will make a push through its own enterprises to build up infrastructure, to build up power, again utilities and so on, before private investment starts to come back, before private consumption begins. People start buying the real estate or cars or just general white goods and start taking loans. None of these seem to be ready to go into this green box, which is basically the leader section. Okay, they continue to be in the laggard section here. तो मेरे को यही लग रहा है कि अगर अभी भी किसी ने, of course what दिवाकर is saying, cash it out and stay happy, FD में डाल दो या कुछ bonds ले लो, that could be the
रिटर्न
best.
नहीं देगा ना, वो इन्फ्लेशन बीट करेगा.
जी, अगर आपने अभी भी कहीं पे भी डालना है, if you still interested in putting some money, maybe these are still the sectors which have some potential for growth coming in. And अगर मैं आपको सिर्फ एक पब्लिक सेक्टर का एक चार्ट ही दिखा दूं, पब्लिक सेक्टर इंडेक्स जो हमारे यहाँ पे है, और लेट मी टेक दिस वन.
मार्केट के जो वैल्यू है ना, मार्केट की वैल्यू 15,500 14,500 से लेके 15,000 तक, दैट इज द करेक्ट इवोल्यूशन ऑफ द मार्केट.
One second, Sharanji, I'll just come to that. Abhi market is definitely going down, but look at this index going up.
Yeah.
It has reached its previous high. In fact, उसको अभी रोक के कौन बैठा हुआ है? ये मंथली सप्लाई, और जिस तरीके से jump आ रहे हैं, I'll not be surprised if it further goes up here. The other one which I noticed, कि ऑटो भी कोई ज्यादा पीछे नहीं है. Okay, let me remove these lines for those. तो ऑटो ने एक लास्ट मंथ एक अच्छा रिवर्सल टाइप दिखाना शुरू किया है, बिकॉज ऑटो काफी टाइम से नीचे ही बैठा हुआ था. जो ग्रोथ उसको मिलनी चाहिए थी वो तो मिली नहीं. तो इट कुड बी वेरी मच पॉसिबल कि कुछ पैसा एनर्जी पावर के अलावा ऑटो सेक्टर में भी आ सकता है. That is my view around how sectors might span out. Of course, Nifty overall might continue to fall, or get into a consolidation phase, as some people have a view कि Nifty 15 या 14 के बीच में जाएगा, 15,000 14,000 के बीच में जा सकता है. So uh, that could be difficult, not be an easy recovery basically, but there are other sectors where you can look for opportunities.
10% फॉल जो है ना, 10% फॉल बहुत होता है.
Yeah.
10% फॉल बहुत होता है.
Sumit, one question here. From a shorter term, yes, I mean, as far as knee-jerk reaction is concerned, there'll be money off equity, and India will lose out initially, probably May. But what stops SEBI from rejigging the Nifty and getting these commodity stocks in the Nifty with a higher weightage and pushing it back up?
I can answer that.
Diwakar, yeah, I think you're the best. Go ahead.
See, when they start adding commodity stocks to the index, you should be exiting the commodity stocks. They'll do it after 18 months. By the time, so if you look at the criteria of how a stock gets added into the index, right? It's a very set formula. It has to overcome a certain volume and trading parameters in order to get included. So right now they're sort of at the extreme end, in terms of volumes traded and market cap. So it will take some time for those commodity stocks to come back into the picture, right? So I would say by the time, I mean, if you look at it, you make the most money in the stocks that are not in the index. So when they get added to the index, you've probably lost the opportunity, right? So that's how I look at it. Just to add two comments on what Sumita just said. See, the CPSE index, most of the stocks are trading at single digit or low double digit PEs. Huh? So if you go and look at all those stocks, they are at less than 15 PE kind of stocks. That's why CPSE is one of the best performers, and I think it will continue to be the best performers. Number two, so I was just looking at the auto sector. See, the auto sector fate was linked to technology investments, is my opinion. Slowly and gradually, I'm forming this opinion. Their performance, say 2 or 3 years back, was because of Ola and all these other tech companies, Uber and all, pushing for investments in their operations, which led to a boom in the auto sector. And now I think tech investments are reducing.
But Ola wasn't there in the index, right?
No, I'm saying Ola promoted taxi drivers, and those taxi drivers purchased Maruti cars and all the other cars.
Okay, yeah, got it. So basically, app driven, technology driven, but at the end of the day, still sale or more revenue for the auto players.
Yeah. So now, if you see, almost all of them are getting into the auto business themselves. So Ola is getting into the auto business themselves. So I don't see auto coming up so strongly, right? So at one point of time, Ola and all the auto companies were collaborating and growing together. Now they have started competing for the same pie. So that's one thing which we will have to sort of look at. And probably the call is that auto sector, maybe the auto ancillaries will do good if inflation subsides, but the auto majors might not be
This
a good
week,
bet.
just have a look at this week itself. Companies like Minda Corp, Sonacom, Jamna Auto, and if you just notice, if you're moving towards electric vehicles and all, and I'll talk about very basic setup here, and I'm not an auto expert. But here, those companies which were traditionally making some kind of motors, wiring, and kind of sensors or telematics, for that matter, if I can use the term here also, they seem to be very well positioned to ride the growth. I think even before I talk about a full-fledged vehicle like this, which we should see uh, all around the country, these kind of two-wheelers, I think they might get much more popular because it doesn't have, of course, the overall number of components are small, and it's much more lucrative now to have these kind of electric devices to move around. And companies like Minda Corp are like making a significant number of parts which would drive their growth. And I was also looking at something interesting, given that the rise of oil is contributing to the freight cost. Look at this news that came in the week. Atul Auto, which is probably this kind of an auto doing your logistics, bringing in grocery and all that, it has tied up with Honda and Valeo, right? So if these kind of autos will get, become an electric vehicle with significant power, I think that's good news. So there would be pockets, unlike your big Tata Motors and all, need to come back. Of course, we know that, maybe the overall infrastructure, once it's very very strong across the country. But before that, I think these things could take up a lot of space, where money can be flowed in. I mean, one news and 16% jump in Atul Auto, I believe that speaks for itself. And there is, of course, a related company, Honda Power, which is listed in India. Look at the growth out here. I mean, let me show you the actual charts. So when I show you Honda Power, right, it's it's probably quite up there, right? And the movement of the stock in on a day when the market was coming down, it went up 7%, Honda, right? And if I show you the numbers in terms of financials, it's not that bad. Okay, there are a couple of green quarters. However, Atul was still bad. Maybe it's going to be a comeback story for Atul. It's pretty red all over, so I'm not suggesting, although there was a jump. But Honda, making generators and other water pumps and all across the country, supplying, I think they have a good brand name in that area. This could be very well, moving up to the next uh, zone, which is at least till 1500 or so. So if I just talk about certain themes, certain stocks, and certain focusing on the fundamentals, at least the numbers should be somewhere green. There could be auto ancillary, as we've been talking about, growth coming in. I mean, India is preparing itself, no doubt about it, is preparing itself for a transition to the traditional, from the traditional vehicles that we used to have, the IC engines, to the electric. And if cargo picks up, if these two wheelers pick up, I think that would be a good story. Anybody holding these stocks? Anybody has a view because they belong to this sector? Any idea?
Yeah, I think Minda Corp is one of the best players. I think it has exposure to both traditional vehicles and EV vehicles.
Yeah,
So it should perform quite well, and they manage their
let's have a look.
operations quite well.
Yeah, so Minda Corp, uh, last quarter might not be very good. Let's see how the jump is. This week, this month, things have been really really good for this company. I mean, look at the rise, fantastic rise since 2020, and this month the rise is coming with volume, and I think we haven't seen this the length of this green candle we haven't seen anywhere, 31% jump. So somewhere, that gives us a feeling that the markets are quite hopeful of a turnaround. Minda being the leader, that could be the story. I can give you the zone here. So if we have to talk about the zones, I think somewhere the stock was stuck here. Once it has moved out of this blue line, this was the previous high. I think there is more ample space to grow, and that's, I think, the beauty of these stocks. Once the OEMs place the orders, before the actual vehicle comes out, these ancillary companies stocks should start to rise. So that's clearly the view on auto and auto ancillary. Yeah. um any other themes people have heard
See,
of or
see,
want to
and then
discuss?
if in one point on thought process is coming in,
Mm-hmm.
see what जो companies established हैं, जो large caps हैं,
Hmm.
you're getting जिनके पास evaluation है,
Hmm.
they've got evaluation means vision,
Yeah.
and vision means it gives to the national interest vision of the PM. That's 5 trillion economy or whatever you call it.
Correct.
तो तो वो चीज जिनके पास इवेल्युएशन है वो कंपनी कभी गिर नहीं सकती. दे विल हैव मेनी ऑल्टरनेटिव्स एट दैट ग्राउंड रूट लेवल एंड देन वी कैन इन्वेस्ट इन दैट. अब टाटा मोटर्स है, टाटा मोटर्स में अगर किसी ने डाला है वो ऊपर ही जाएगा, नीचे नहीं आएगा. करेक्शन हो सकता है बिकॉज ऑफ एसेसरीज नहीं आ रहा है, पर टाटा मोटर्स के अंदर कुछ और फॉर्मेट आ जाएगा. ईवी है, ईवी में 4 कंपनीज आ गई हैं जिनकी बैटरीज उड़ गई है, जिनके यहाँ कुछ आग लग गई है, कुछ हो गया, तो दे ऑल अंडर इंक्वायरीज. व्हाई इट इज हैपनिंग? इवन द गवर्नमेंट इज इन्वॉल्व इन इट.
Yes.
See, government is taking full interest कि inquiry will be placed by the government. And they are finding out कि why these companies, जैसे जितेंद्र एक कंपनी आ गई, पता ही नहीं उसका नाम क्या, I don't know which company is that. And he started off with that blast. अभी घर के अंदर blast हो गया, देखो वो चार्ज कर रहा था बैटरी हैदराबाद में. तो government itself is taking that one complete interest. So please focus from the government angle. That's the point.
Government is committed to make EV success, and so
Yes.
eventually पहली बात तो these things, initial hiccups keep happening. तो अगर कहीं ना कहीं कुछ हो रहा है, I think it's good that it happens at early stage. Certain regulations, certain safety measures will be put up, and then whatever will be launched will be a much safer and reliable vehicle on the road, and people will start trusting it. But point is, are companies really positioned very well? Should we start investing in it? I mean, ऐसी growth अगर a particular week में आ रही है when the markets were down, I think that speaks for itself, right? तो I am kind of confident, अगर कहीं पैसा डालना है तो ऑटो के अंदर भी एंसिलरी कंपनीज जो पार्ट कंपनीज हैं, आई थिंक दैट वुड बी माय बेट. इनफैक्ट मैं तो टायर्स भी देख रहा था, so I was looking at
Correct. That's the
Seat
point.
tires.
Absolutely.
Look at Seat tires.
Yeah. JK, C8, these are things.
How they started to, हमने JK in Seat के बारे में पिछली बार भी बात की थी. So there has been news that probably it's come up with a more very innovative puncture technology, and
Correct.
that is going to drive the growth in this company. Very much possible, but सारी टायर कंपनीज इकट्ठे मूव हो रही है, तो दैट मीन्स अ ट्रेंड, राइट? सो वी जस्ट सॉ सीएट, वी जस्ट सॉ जेके, वी आर सीइंग हाउ दिस पर्टिकुलर वीक एमआरएफ हैज आल्सो गॉन अप. एक बार अपोलो टायर भी देख लेते हैं. So what is Apollo tire is telling me? Apollo is also kind of going up. They're not showing any signs of coming down, right? And if you know
No, there'll
the
be competition amongst them. Yeah.
yes, if you know the technical analysis, most of them are probably sitting at their monthly demand or weekly demand levels from where they could be jumping. So they did a good jump. Of course, last year was all supply disruptions. There were no rise in commercial vehicle or passenger vehicle sales. So वो पूरा साल यहाँ निकलता चला जाएगा. And then maybe now if we say that the economy is coming back on track, tires is something which is not, it is basically agnostic. आप किस टाइप का इंजन चला रहे हो उसका कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल है क्या है, this is again an area which you could focus on.
Because see, the factor of FII and DI is the key.
Yeah.
Because of FI, we know, we have seen it, we have tested it after COVID drop, that because of FI, we have reached 18604.
Hmm.
अब FI ड्रॉ करने के बाद जो DI आपने चार्ट दिखाया सपोर्ट कर रहा है, दैट क्लियरली शोज कि वी आर बॉटलिंग अप विदिन आवरसेल्फ.
I'm sorry. Come again.
जो आपने DI और FI का चार्ट दिखाया ना, दैट क्लियरली शोज कि बिकॉज ऑफ DII,
Yes.
this is the chart. This speaks everything where India is today. In the
Yes.
trade,
और वो स्टोरी यही है कि
हाँ
इंडिया कहीं ना कुछ सही है, एंड मे बी जो
है,
भी ग्लोबल क्राइसिस हो रही है उसकी वजह से कुछ
हाँ.
कुछ सेक्टर हैं जो पूरा एडवांटेज ले सकते
नहीं,
हैं
और
इंडिया
इससे
को।
इसके साथ एक चार्ट अगर आपके पास और भी हो कि हमारा डिपेंडेबिलिटी कितना है बाहर के साथ और किन किन कंट्रीज के साथ है.
राइट, आई थिंक दैट्स
यूएस,
इजी टू फाइंड,
हाँ,
बट
और
मोर
यूएस
और
फेड अगर उसमें एक चीज और जोड़िएगा, यूएस फेड अगर 50 बेसिस पॉइंट जाए, वो 8 में जंप करे, चाहे 10 में जंप करे, चाहे 6 में जंप करे, जो भी करे, इट गोज अप टू 23 ऑल्सो. हाउ इट इफेक्ट्स अस एंड अदर्स. बस ये दो फैक्टर अगर हमको पता है कि हम किस पर निर्भर हैं अपने निर्भरता के बाद, और यूएस का इफेक्ट और यूरोप का इफेक्ट हमारे ऊपर कितना आ रहा है, जो हमारे एनिमीज हैं उनका इफेक्ट कितना आ रहा है, देन वी नो वेयर वी आर. दैट्स ऑल.
I
हम उनके
think
साथ क्यों करें?
where we are, we all need to take a call. Are we on this right hand side, or are we going to follow the left hand side? So clearly, Divakar
नो,
is
राइट हैंड
saying
साइड.
FIIs,
राइट हैंड.
FIIs करो, but because there will be always heterogeneous views in the market. अगर FIIs बेच रहे हैं, and this is what we were seeing, someone was still buying, and DIIs,
या
since they've collected a lot of money, they can't sit on cash. So if they
कैश,
continue
दैट्स इट.
to buy, if they continue to buy, clearly the coming, see, this was the maximum that we have seen so far, a 15% fall since November. अभी जहाँ पे है हमारा market, I think that can be said it's a 10% fall. Let me see if I can get it. I'm not
5-6% फॉल है अभी, 6%.
sorry. ये रहा sir.
I think it was,
It is
yeah.
it is a 10% fall where from the highest level.
18604 से ले लेना आप 18300 से लीजिए.
नहीं सर
604 तो
18 क्यों लेंगे, क्यों लेंगे?
हाँ,
18600 तो हाईएस्ट बनाया ना,
चलो ठीक
18600
है.
तो हाईएस्ट बनाया, तो हम वहीं से लेना है. तो दिस इज 10%, दिस इज 15%. सो आई हैव नो डाउट कि वापस 15% पे आ सकता है. Now the good news is when the markets fall, they fall very fast. So this opportunity can come very soon, maybe in a week's time or a 2 weeks time. The 500 points crash, 1,000 points crash
या
is
दैट विल
very
कम.
easy to see. But are you ready with your money? That will be the scene. I mean, who takes advantage when everybody is under fear? Are you ready to invest and take that risk? That will be
बिकॉज
my
अभी
key point on Nifty. Yeah.
और प्लस उसके साथ ना रेजिस्टेंस भी देखिए कहाँ कहाँ अभी हो रहा है. 17400 वी हैव टू क्रॉस.
चार्ट दिखा देता हूँ सर, लाइन चार्ट जो मेरे पास है.
हाँ, विद
तो
गैप. हाँ,
अभी
कैंडल.
अभी
हाँ,
इन द प्रीवियस वीक्स वी सॉ द 20 SMA लाइन के ऊपर चला गया था. ऑफ कोर्स ऊपर की बॉलिंजर बैंड तक तो पहुंचा नहीं.
ना,
हियर इज 17,000 व्हिच इज अ क्लियर डिसीजन मेकर. इसको तोड़ के जाता है तो देन देयर इज 16,500, अल्टीमेटली 16,000 एंड देन 15,000 एट दिस पॉइंट. तो
दैट
कपल ऑफ
विल क्रैश.
ऑब्स्टिकल्स, couple of obstacles or hurdles still be there. Obviously एक ही दिन में यहाँ तक तो नहीं पहुंच जाएगा,
ना ना
but जब
ना ना.
पहुंचेगा, where are you going to be ready with your money to make your purchases? That will be my point on this. Because अगर मैं if I just show you the story from a OI perspective, the open interest, the PCR is definitely less than 1. And just look at the structure, you'll see longer red color lines which suggests that call activity is quite strong, and even futures are being sold, right? So if that is the case, it's very difficult for Nifty to go up. And new additions have happened during this week, so people are now quite uh, clear on this opinion कि Nifty ऊपर तो नहीं जा रहा, right? And when I show you the story for Bank Nifty also remains the same. It has come down its 20 SMA level. There is definitely this fall which we are about to see. मार्केट्स का आई डोंट थिंक आईसीआईसीआई के रिजल्ट्स जो थोड़े बहुत अच्छे आए हैं से कुछ ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट होगा. बैंकिंग विल ड्रैग इट. आईटी ने तो ड्रैग कर ही दिया था. एंड दिस इज हाउ द ओपन इंटरेस्ट लुक्स लाइक. lot of call selling happening here on bank nifty and so on. So मुझे ये वीक, इस पर्टिकुलर वीक से तो कोई खास इतनी उम्मीद नहीं है कि कुछ भी टर्न अराउंड यहाँ पे आने वाला है. बट एज आई सेड, अगर नीचे जा रहा है एंड यू हैव द मनी, you know, to make your purchases, I think that will be a good level. So whenever you see a 500 point dip, be ready with your wallets. You see a 1,000 points dip, I think go ahead, invest significant money in your favorite stocks. And we've just discussed some sectors, some pockets where growth could come in back. If you want to go company specific, stock specific, I have that news also. We can go sector by sector कि कहाँ पे कौन से stocks ज़्यादा कर रहे हैं. So for example, um, in this one, FMCG, which is supposed to be one of the defensive stocks, I noticed that Coalpal is coming up in a way where Hindustan Unilever used to ride. So, you know, for Hindustan Unilever, we always used to say कि वो अपने 20 EMA से ज़्यादा टाइम तक नीचे नहीं रहता था. So Coalpal, if I just show you how it is started to this week itself, and FMCG stocks jumping 5%, I think that's another story. If I talk about some news, I think few weeks back we did see the news that there was a new CEO who has come in, and he is from Hindustan Unilever, right? This was the story, I think, coming in here somewhere, right? uh, तो तब से एक जंप कोलगेट पामोलिव में बना हुआ है, and it is crossing some immediate hurdles on weekly level, and all. It's headed towards its monthly supply. So there are some areas which you can pick up this week. Your money will be dependent on how good you are on technical analysis, and are you able to find those stocks which are showing unusual volume also, where basically it means that people are very confident that this is a stock they want to park their money in during such a crisis period. So crisis है तो कहीं ना कहीं money डाल सकते हैं. So that is again, I think last time around we saw Godfrey Phillips also. So Colgate Palmolive, Godfrey Phillips, those were the companies here. We did see some cement company movement coming in infra. I have said infra में कुछ ना कुछ jump हो ही रहा है. तो there is some news around, I think, Ambuja Cement and ACC. So let me clear up the mess here so that you can see the full view. Or let me also minimize this. Yeah. So here, if I tell you that in Ambuja there was a gap up, and अभी काफी अच्छी volume काफी time से इसमें चल रही है. So there is, I think, some story around Ambuja's shareholding being changed. Holcim is a company which owns stake in Ambuja and ACC. I think they are planning to sell a certain stake, and there is, I think, hope that infrastructure के point of view से ACC और Ambuja जिसके पास भी जाता है, I think that will become the number 2 player in our country. Grasim already is the number 1 player. So where do we see opportunities? Not maybe because कि सेल बढ़ने वाली है, but just because एक नया कॉम्पिटिटर नंबर 2 प्लेयर काफी बड़ा बनने वाला है इस सेगमेंट में. Maybe that's the view that we have here in the cement stocks. Just see how ACC is jumping every day. When the news came out, somewhere around 7-8% jump, another 2 to 3% jump, चलता ही जा रहा है, चलता ही जा रहा है. So there is these kind of stories. If you are keen, you could probably look into park your money and make small bets, set some small targets for that. Any particular sector we should look at?
Yeah, I'd like to hear from other participants.
Yeah.
Where are they making money?
Let me ask Anukrant. Anukrant, again a dear friend from Singapore. Anukrant, how do you see India from there? Yeah, Anukrant, can you hear me? Okay, he's on mute right now.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hey, welcome, man. So, what is your view? Where are you putting your money?
I am holding it for some time. I'll watch
Okay.
it for the next week or so, and then
But where did you make your maximum money in the last month? Which sector?
power.
Power, right. So, does the power story
Power
still
and
excite
metals.
you? The
Sorry.
power story still excite you? Is there more
I think
scope
so,
and
at
hope?
least a couple of months down the line, summer बहुत strong है,
Yeah,
requirements बढ़ रही हैं.
yeah.
So Tata Power देखें, Adani Power देखें, these all have been on and like crazy in the last
Hmm.
couple of months.
Hmm. So,
Something which is also coming up is the metal sector, commodity side.
yeah.
Although it's already on the higher side, but I think there is still some steam left in those.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
So, within
more.
power, if we focus on their suppliers like NTPC or Coal India, I think they continue to have a good story also, right? Yeah. And given the heat wave, remember we had talked about AC players. So there are a lot of companies in this space. So how are they doing? How are they rising? I remember you talking about Amber some point, I think some time back. Are you still looking at these kind of companies?
हाँ, so Ember is one, even
Hmm.
Voltas है. So
Voltas, okay.
these are also good plays.
Hmm. I was
Amber
quite
definitely.
surprised by Polycab. So, this kind of a movement typically happens कि जब एक चैनल में एक स्टॉक चल रहा होता है and when they come right till the point of the border, the channel, there is always a possibility कि यहाँ से यहाँ तो ऊपर जाएगा या यहाँ से नीचे जाएगा. So I think this was a good point to do your long straddle wherein you could have bought the call as well as the put, right? Because in just one day there was a fall of literally 8%, right? So if channels is what we are talking about, sometimes we all like to draw channels. I think the one company you were talking about from a channel perspective, it's doing good, and maybe there was news around that, was also Piramal Enterprises, right?
Correct.
So how are you looking at Piramal? What is the flow? What is the opportunity here? If now we get into specific, अगर इसमें कोई advantage लेना है, where do you think the stock is
So,
going, and how do we take
so
advantage?
what I looked at is, I mean, a downside channel में जा रहा है. If
Okay,
you look at it on a daily basis,
काफी टाइम से है, तो 3000 से अब इधर 2000
and
पे आ
it's
गया है,
correct.
right?
और इसके पास एक
Okay,
जोन है roughly 2055 के level पे, and that is where the downside of the
2055.
channel
Okay, you're talk to sorry, you're talking 2055. Should I go to weekly or daily?
daily.
Okay, so look at
पीछे से
daily.
आ रहा है काफी. आई थिंक इसका रेंज जो है, ओपन दैट अप.
So right now it's at 2173. You're looking for a demand or a supply?
Demand zone at 2055 and it's coming from June 21, 7th June 21.
Uh, yeah.
हाँ,
Okay.
यहीं पे जहाँ पे
So
कर सकते.
okay. So let me first change this so that there is ample color here. Then let me draw the zone that you're talking about. So this is the zone, and since we are looking at a daily, let me mark it at daily. So यहाँ से इसने you're saying रिवर्सल लिया था, ऊपर गया, but since it could not break this, so it's going to come back here. That's what you're saying.
हाँ, और अगर हम चैनल बना लेना, डाउन साइड चैनल फ्रॉम द टॉप ऑफ 3000 रफली यहीं कहीं कॉन्साइड कर रहा है अराउंड 2000 लेवल्स. सो
यहाँ
टेक्निकली आई
से?
थिंक हाँ, यहाँ से
Oh,
लेके एक
interesting.
चैनल बना ले. सो इट basically is coinciding somewhere close to that 2000 2055 number.
Uh, am I making it correct? This is how you want it to be?
हाँ, हाँ. थोड़ा सा ऊपर. आई थिंक ये तो कई बार एनॉमलीज आ जाती हैं. आई थिंक दिस इज जस्ट एन
Okay.
एनॉमली ऑन द
Okay, here.
जो ऊपर वाले, हाँ, क्लोज टू दिस. यस, दिस इज व्हाट आई ड्रू.
So you are saying because it could not touch the upper end of the channel and it took a turn, it probably is definitely coming here in this demand zone again.
हाँ, and यही नहीं. आई
Mm-hmm.
थिंक if you look at the IUP
Hmm.
or PCR data,
Hmm. Hmm.
those are also pointing close to that. And अगर आप टॉप से एक फिब रिट्रेसमेंट बना लें,
Hmm.
फिबोनाची लेवल्स ड्रॉ कर लें, then also you will see that it just reversed from 0.67 from the top.
Okay. Just 1 second. I'm looking for. I'm not getting. Is it a non-liquid one? PEL. Yeah, IVP is quite low, but PCR. Okay. And you're saying we should draw the from here
Fibonacci,
again 3000
हाँ,
3000.
3000 से ही बना लें अगर, तो
Okay.
it just moved from the 0.67. तो मुझे लगता है कि
Okay. So basically ये अभी इस diagonal पे रुका हुआ है and then it's going to come back to 0.837. Scope is back till 1. So 1886 तक का है, right? And you
correct.
did say that money control is also giving you some information to
ये
sell
इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स
futures.
पे,
I'm
ET
sorry,
पे,
किस पे? ET.
इकोनॉमिक
Okay.
टाइम्स का. हाँ.
Yeah. Mm, you can share the link. I can put it up somewhere. I'm not getting it right away. So
मैं सर्च करके देता हूँ. I don't have it right now immediately.
okay, okay. So basically, you're saying if this is something we believe कि ये नीचे जा रहा है, so there's a
हाँ,
strategy we can create. Sell the futures.
हाँ.
How do we protect it? How do we protect it?
कॉल बाय कर लेंगे in the
कहाँ
money.
की buy कहाँ की buy कर लूँ?
In
2100 की या कम की?
वो देखना पड़ेगा अब किस में लिक्विडिटी अवेलेबल है. और
What's your target? 2000?
हाँ, close to 2000.
Okay, so let's create this. If this is going to be the case, by the way, what's your view, Divakar? On Piramal? Piramal is into. Be careful before I get into this. Can I share a slide before I create the strategy? Here's what I observed during this week. All your broker, trusts, NBFC kind of companies, they were showing quite a rise. तो बेसिकली आपका पैसा जब जा रहा है, काफ़ी हद तक म्यूचुअल फंड्स में जा रहा है, कोई ट्रस्ट में जा रहा है, मे बी फॉर फर्दर लेंडिंग बिजनेस जा रहा है. आई सॉ these kind of stocks making huge gains. Just look at Angel One, and I think Divakar, this is your favorite, Angel One. What it's done, it has had a very good set of quarters. It has made some partnership with Vakrangi for tier 2, tier 3 expansion, and I think it's also had a very good year in terms of onboarding clients. It has 10% market share when it comes to demat accounts. In the last 1 year itself, it has really improved. तो अगर कोई ऐसे stocks हमें मिल रहे हैं which are basically dealing with money collection, in a way, I think this is that list in front of you. What is your view, Divakar? Before I go back to Piramal, what is this story going on? Any thoughts?
I think it's see, I always felt that if you are bullish on the market,
Hmm.
any market, you just
Hmm.
go buy uh, their number one or number two brokers.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because they will have their own prop book. Number two, client additions will be exponential. Number three, they finance the uh, uh, growth in the market as well. So for example, Angel One provides. I think they provide you loan to invest in stocks. I think
Yeah.
the interest is around 12% or something like that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
12-13%. Right. So so these stocks have been doing quite well.
Hmm.
But I'm turning cautious. If my view on the market is bearish,
Hmm.
I will turn cautious on these sectors and I will come back to them after 3 months. When I'm seeing the
Hmm.
market has sold off and it's very bearish, I would come and buy
Yeah.
these.
Right. Right. But
In fact,
the jumps that are currently coming in, and if I just show you Angel One also here, uh, why is the market surprised with what has happened? Look at the jump,
look,
17% with good volume, and there is a channel. There's still channel room to go up, right?
yeah, I think the performance of these stocks will continue to be good for the
Yeah.
next 2 quarters because there's too much volume, right? Everybody will be trading excessively and it will lead
Right.
to
So
better.
they're making a lot of brokerage commissions and all that.
Yeah. And now brokerage is not the main play for these companies.
Yeah.
Their lending franchise and their insurance franchise, sort of their fee income.
Right.
um, that is what is causing the growth for these companies. So they are sort of like a mix of an NBFC and a
Right.
sort of like an investment bank and a retail brokerage kind of a business, right? So you can look at IIFL also.
Yeah. I'm just going to show the players. So look at this turnaround from Edelweiss. What a jump with a good volume. Look at this. And when I say we're talking about theme, we don't talk about just one company. If suddenly you see growth or rise or volume coming in stocks from the same segment, then there is possibly something hidden. So this is Edelweiss, this is Crystal. Share India is another stock which I think I have talked in a couple of my sessions. This company is primarily doing derivatives. So how derivatives talk? I mean, they provide the backbone for futures and option trading, right? Anand Rathi. Look at Anand Rathi. It made a jump here. Let me show you. This was, I think, last week or so. It made a nice jump here, and then it still not closed the gap, right? And uh, you mentioned IIFL. Let's have a look at that. Wow, what a move! This is a daily chart, right? Been rising, rising. So, is there a theme that people are now quite addicted to trading? Uh, and if even if they are pulling out money and all, they're still gonna give out some kind of fees to these guys. And if that money stays with them, they all have some kind of a lending business. So if I can just give you this company name, Capri Global, and it's not a small company, by the way. Capri Global. I was uh, quite shocked to see how it's been rising. So this was the weekly performance, and this is monthly. Capri Global since May 2020. I think you see 24 months, just three red color candles, just three, and that too, maybe with positive momentum. So technically, just one red candle, coming in. How it has moved up. By the way, what exactly are these guys doing? If I can just show you. So they again NBFC providing home loans, MSME loans, lending and construction and finance loans. And if the economy has to kickstart it, we've been saying that NBFCs and these smaller loans to the small companies, the mini, I would say, maybe micro loans also. Those are the focus areas, right? So if that happens, I think there is an initial indicator that the economy is coming back on track. Private capex is flowing in, right? So if if this is the jump, do you, and this is the theme I'm discussing, do you think it is an operator move, or it's actually something that we can target for the coming 1 week, 2 weeks, by the time Nifty stabilizes? So 16% in 1 week. Yeah. So is this a temporary jump, or is there something really going on?
No, we are taking steps for NBFCs. They are taking steps.
So Piramal
It was in the
Enterprise.
news.
Go
It
ahead,
was in the
Devan.
news. It was in the news 1 month back also. We are taking steps, positive steps towards this. It is not moderated. It is actual.
Right.
Market and market में who wants to take the advantage of that is he is the winner. That's it. That's where the money goes. It's a positive
So,
step
so
at
technical
a lower level,
standpoint,
ground
say
level.
what Anukrant wants to do, I think is making sense. But just because the area in which it's operating, I mean, I'm just looking at it. उस segment की सारी companies ऊपर आ रही हैं, तो why? I mean, maybe this might not play out very well. I don't know. What is your final view, Anukrant? Are you saying pharma business अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है इसलिए?
I have only looked at it from a technical point. I haven't looked at the details of the sector. And
Yeah.
surprisingly, the whole sector is going up by pyramid is coming down. So that's another question
Yeah.
to look for.
I
I
can
think
quickly.
their
Yeah.
management, there are management issues, so in the sense that they're not making the right bets is what I feel. Uh, and technically, I will buy this stock only if it crosses its 20-day moving average and makes new highs.
The 20-day moving average. Okay. So basically, you don't want to short sell the stock at any point. Right now, it's below the 20 average, right? 20-day moving average. Or is it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, it is low. So छोटा मोटा हो सकता है, fall आ सकता है. Maybe till what the level the demand zone is. But beyond that, there is the story which I just showed you. If this is how the rest of the guys are moving up, right? And I think there are no exceptions. So see, all the big names are here. Whether it is Motilal Oswal, 5 Paisa, Angel One, um, Edelweiss, right? So why should this guy suffer so much? I mean, in the
because
same line of business.
their
Yeah.
performance is not good. No, fundamentally, their performance is not good. So
So, Diwakar, if you were to take this, would you take the trade of short selling Piramal?
yeah, I think I definitely look at short selling rather than going long.
Okay.
I take the view that it'll probably create a new low.
My view is that you should see the volume first in these such cases. What is the participation in it? This management factor now is the correct point. Then we have to see the volume, whether people are interested or not.
See, yeah,
That's
if you
why it
just
is
look
going
at
the odd way.
नहीं, देखो जब
volume,
नीचे गिरा था यहाँ से, there was lot of volume when it started to fall here. Okay. And जिसने भी इसको चढ़ाने की कोशिश करी, of course the volume did not match up to these levels.
हाँ वही पे.
Now, of course, if we are saying that this is about to reverse, it should reverse from the demand zone. अभी बीच में से बैठे-बैठे reverse तो होगा नहीं.
No.
So this
ये
heavy
तो वही
volume
है.
has come
The
here.
management factor is the key factor here. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's why people are losing interest in this.
So just look at this, Anukrant, Diwakar ji. Previous time also when it fell, I think August 21, यहाँ पे भी heavy volume थी, ये भी अच्छी
हाँ.
volume थी. इसको चढ़ाने वाले ऊपर जो लोग थे इतनी volume भी नहीं ला सके. Of course, it did not
No.
even touch the channel here. And now it's
That's
again going to come down.
that is management. That's
yeah,
management.
let me
Correct.
explain the point of view on this one. See, whenever a new high is formed and the volume is lesser,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it means it's a distribution, right?
this
So
one,
Correct,
this
correct,
this one, right? So
correct.
this is a
Absolutely.
distribution phase. और यहाँ पे एक
yeah,
अच्छा
even
हैमर बना हुआ है, which
March to
clearly
April,
suggested कि रिवर्सल था. हाँ.
even
Mm.
look at March
Sure.
to April. The new high that they are trying to form is forming at a lower volume.
So
Yeah.
March to April, yes. It's always low. तो कुछ कुछ हमारे निफ्टी जैसा ही है ना, नीचे आता जा रहा है. And of
Mm.
course, the downfall, I think, started roughly at the same point when it was with Nifty. And this seems to be following Nifty tracks.
Mm. One can say that. Uh-huh. निफ्टी और बैंक निफ्टी मान सकते हैं पर इसको हम कोरिलेट
Yeah,
नहीं कर सकते
exactly.
हैं.
Bank Nifty. Yeah.
We can't correlate this with Nifty and Bank Nifty.
So,
We can't. We are unable to. वही तो that's the point.
Anukran ji, next month future या इसी month के?
नेक्स्ट मंथ ही लेना पड़ेगा सर.
ठीक है.
एक क्वार्टर देखना पड़ेगा. एक क्वार्टर
सेल कर
रक्षा
दिया
वाला
हमने.
सेक्टर है.
तो सेल कर दिया हमने. एंड अगर हम 2000 का टारगेट रख रहे तो समवेयर अराउंड 2100 मैं बाय कर लेता हूँ. ऑप्शन दिस इज नेक्स्ट मंथ में ही सारी मुझे एक्टिविटी करनी है. तो 2100 का कॉल मैं बाय कर लूं कि नीचे करूं. थोड़ी सी तो दिख रही है मुझे यहाँ पे. 1 सेकेंड, आई नीड टू चेक. ठीक है, ओके, स्टिल डिसेंट. एंड 2000 का पुट मैं सेल कर सकता हूँ
हाँ.
एज माई टारगेट. डिड आई डू समथिंग रॉन्ग हियर? No. Okay, so the reward to risk ratio is, अगर मैंने ये strategy लगाई FNO के साथ, if I am right, I'm going to make somewhere around 20,000. If I am wrong, I'm going to lose somewhere around 8,000. So that's the strategy. Piramal Enterprises coming from Anukrant, supported by
2.
Divakar and Shailendra ji. So
2.5.
if you further want to reduce this risk, how should we further reduce it? अगर थोड़ा और कम करना है, पैसा भी कम कमाना चाहते हैं, लॉस भी कम करना चाहते हैं, हाउ डू वी डू इट?
नेट प्रीमियम 30 आ रहा है ना. बाई का करना पड़ेगा.
Sorry, you want to reduce the loss, is it?
Yeah.
बाई रिड्यूस करना पड़ेगा.
If the call goes against you, as the futures is making losses,
Hmm.
your short call should also be making. Oh wait,
So hold on, I'll just explain. So I have sold the future, तो नीचे जाएगा तो मुझे फायदा होगा,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
Okay. Then since my target is somewhere around 2000, so I have sold the put also.
Correct.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now just in case ये super trend से इसने reversal ले लिया, तो I have bought a call also. Okay, so what a call will so call hedge is going to protect me कि मेरा सेल फ्यूचर किया हुआ है, कॉल मैंने खरीद लिया तो ये ऊपर कहीं ना भाग जाए, तो वो मेरे को बचा लेगा. इन दैट केस हाउ मच एम आई लूजिंग? 8000 मैक्सिमम. एंड दिस स्टोरी विल कंटिन्यू टिल एंड ऑफ मे, 26 मई. और अगर मैं सही हुआ, if I am right and it continues to fall from here, okay, what are my break even points? 2071. तो उसको डेफिनेटली यहाँ तक तो आना, ये सुपर ट्रेंड से नीचे आना ही पड़ेगा. तो अगर ये 2071 बेसिकली इट इज दिस फिबोनाची लेवल ऑफ 0.837, यहाँ तक आ गया तो इट इज अ ब्रेक इवन. वॉट एवर माई मनी दैट हैज गॉन इन, हाउ मच एम आई पुटिंग इन? 30,000 के आसपास. एंड that is safe till 2071. उसके नीचे जाता जाता है तो आई एम गोइंग टू मेक अराउंड 20,000. टाइम काफी है. स्टोरी निफ्टी की भी खराब है, बैंक निफ्टी की भी खराब है, मैनेजमेंट की भी अगर पिरामिड से रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लमैटिक है. आई थिंक मे बी देयर इज अ स्ट्रेटजी to be implemented.
Yeah, I'd do two fail-safe mechanisms. One,
Yeah.
if it crosses 2250 on the upside.
Sorry, I'm just putting something around management. Okay, we'll come to that. Sorry, come again, Divakar.
So 225, if it crosses 2250,
Yeah.
I will. So two things, right? So one, if it crosses 2250, I
Hmm.
will book profits on the short put that you have sold and roll it over up.
Okay, so basically you're saying इसमें भी हम अपना लॉस कम करने का तरीका यही कर सकते हैं कि if it starts going against me instead of going down it starts going up,
गिनती कर रहा है 21
I
को,
will
हाँ
I will the put
सुपर
which I
ट्रेंड
have
ऊपर के, हाँ
sold at
ट्रेल
2000
कराएं,
उसको मैं
ट्रेल कराएं।
2070 पे ले आऊंगा या 2050 पे ले आऊंगा so that I make more money out of that.
Yeah, you can even bring it up to 2100 levels. Huh?
हाँ 2000 करेक्ट।
पहले ही कर लूं क्या? पहले ही कर लूं?
तो ला
Yes,
के
but
दिखाइए कहाँ जाता है।
नहीं, but I'm losing more money, right?
1850, हाँ 1850 क्यों जा रहा है, 21 पे चाहिए
Oh,
या
actually यहाँ
20।
पे ओपन इंटरेस्ट ज्यादा है नहीं ना, that is where so I picked up those strikes where open interest is there and that's why the
ओके
are getting better. इसके अलावा मैं हिलाता हूँ तो कुछ अच्छा ओपन इंटरेस्ट है नहीं, एटलीस्ट इसी के आसपास, तो राउंड फिगर्स में ही सब कुछ मिल रहा है मेरे को अभी तो I'm kind of
ओके
stuck
ओके
with
ठीक
uh,
कर।
this is the story. नीचे जाए तो बहुत ही अच्छा है and ऊपर so this is a easy money making strategy if you're willing to lose 7,000, in fact sorry 8,000, if you पूरा wait करने की भी जरूरत नहीं होती, not necessarily you have to stay on till that 8,000 loss. If it goes down, I think you can recover sooner by getting out of the trade. You don't have to wait till May 26th or so. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. How did you identify this? Is it just the news, uh, Anukral?
Yeah, just the news. I mean, there were two strategies out in
Hmm.
the news, but apart from that, I have been looking at other stocks also. I have 3, 4 stocks that I have been looking at.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, if you guys are interested, I can share and probably we can have a collective look.
Yeah, why not? Please tell. We have 10 minutes.
मेरे पास 5 stocks हैं. One is Piramal, we have already talked. Then is
Hmm.
Nalco, National Aluminium, again on a sell side.
Oh, sorry,
सही डन
Nal.
कुछ भी
National Aluminium.
Yeah. So if I just see
These
where
two
is
are
it
part of
coming from,
that
ये
the
है,
economic
दिस इज
news.
तो ये बेसिकली ऊपर गया,
ऊपर जा,
उसने यहाँ
हाँ
पे
ऊपर
ब्रेक लगाई प्रीवियस मंथ और अब ये वहां से नीचे आ रहा है, तो बेसिकली इस सप्लाई जोन से तो ये बाहर जा नहीं सक रहा, so you are saying कि it should come down here. Okay,
And
let
there'll
me
be
open up something. I can quickly check their open interest and do some analysis on that. Yeah, next one.
निखिल का देख। हाँ ठीक
this
है,
is Maruti Pidilite and HAL. Maruti Pidilite on the buy side, HAL on
ये
the sell side.
actually is coming down, is it?
so I'm so sorry. Did you which one did you say? Pidilite?
Pidilite and
Okay.
Maruti.
So Pidilite. Okay.
On the buy
So
side.
it touched supply here और सुपर ट्रेंड से भी काफी दूर चल रहा है. Kind of sideways at the moment, right? Do we have an indication कि ये नीचे जाने वाला है? अभी ये इसको एक
ये
मंथली
up के
डिमांड
लिए,
मिला हुआ है. हाँ, sorry.
upside के लिए, ये upside के लिए.
Oh, you're saying this is for upside?
हाँ, this one and
Pidilite
Maruti
Industrial
for upside.
Securities. Okay. So no story, just technicals, right?
करेक्ट. ये FNO का डेटा एनालिसिस और उनमें से ओपन इंटरेस्ट वगैरह देख के
HL का है,
Did you say HAL or HUL?
HAL.
HL
तो
ओवरबॉट।
शैलेंद्र जी को अच्छा नहीं लगता HAL नीचे जाए तो. Yeah. So it's
काफी
been going up for a very long
हाँ
time. ये चैनल में था, चैनल से ऊपर नहीं जा पाया, which we have
वही
seen. जो
वाली
पॉलीकैब में भी हुआ है, पॉलीकैब में तो नी जर्क रिएक्शन आ गया, तो यहाँ से
करेक्ट.
ये नीचे आ जाए, so I will not
HAL
be
का
surprised.
डेरिवेटिव का डेटा आप देखोगे तो बहुत ही सरप्राइजिंग है. It's on the top of sell side.
Oh, is it? Then let me open up a sheet for my analysis.
because HL one is tracking since 600 to 1 बहुत हो
Which one are you more strongly feeling for, right? ऊपर या नीचे जो भी है.
HAL का डेटा देख के it's more strong. HAL and Maruti is more strong.
Okay.
BEL भी होगा मेरे ख्याल से.
This thing takes a time to load up, but I can keep a check on this. Um, let's go look at the option chain. Okay. Something wrong with this site?
Sometimes it happens.
Okay. Next month, this month?
दोनों ही देखना पड़ेगा. Actually next month.
देखना तो इसी मंथ ज्यादा डेटा तो यही है. So PCR definitely suggesting कॉल साइड ज्यादा है तो नीचे जाएगा स्टॉक. Literally डबल तो नहीं बट डबल के आसपास ही है. And what is the next indication that you saw on the open interest sheet?
जो राइटिंग है डेरिवेटिव डेटा अगर आप देखो
ये वाला देख रहे हैं आप. ये the immediately OTMs on the call side heavy writing आई हुई है यहाँ पे, right? And compared to this one, यहाँ से लोग भाग रहे हैं. So put side से लोग भाग रहे हैं, call side पे writing आई हुई है. So basically suggesting. So this is just for the next 3-4 days, right, Anukrant?
हाँ आई मीन अप्रैल का देखेंगे तो ऑब्वियसली मे भी देख सकते हैं एक बार.
Yeah, but I think if you are into this, even for 3-4 days, you can take advantage of the fall. So if I draw up a similar analysis for HAL coming week, right? Let's say it comes down till 15-15.
एक्सपायरी मंथ एक्सपायरी.
तो 3-4 दिन में भी तो कमा तो लोगे. द ओनली चैलेंज इज कि आपको एक ITM में ऑप्शन आ जाएगी विच गोज इनटू फिजिकल एक्सरसाइज, राइट? तो वहाँ प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है.
That's it.
बिकॉज वी आर इन द मंथ एक्सपायरी.
उस केस में
मंथ एक्सपायरी में काफी चेंज होगा.
मे का नहीं ले सकते.
सॉरी, क्या कर सकते हैं?
मे मंथ को ले लें.
हाँ वो ले लें. हाँ वो देख सकते हैं.
Only if liquidity is there. That might be a challenge.
मुझे वैसे इसमें ज्यादा कुछ इतना दिखता नहीं है. अगर मैं फोकस करूँ, यस कॉल्स आर हैवी. स्टोरी ओके. आई स्टिल फील इसमें ओपन इंटरेस्ट इतना ज्यादा तो होता नहीं है. But still, if you want, I can create a strategy. Let me save this strategy. This PEL. Okay, I added it to virtual trade, I think. Okay, clear new trades. By the way, this was a strategy we had created for Bharti. Bharti का हमने एंगल किया था where already making money. Maximum यहाँ पे 17,000 हो सकता था. And we've already made 12,000 here. So this is a triangle strategy we discussed in one of our groups currently.
I've sold
triangle.
अच्छा, इसमें एक पॉइंट याद आया बिकॉज आई कीप ऑन आस्किंग बिटवीन ना. ये बताइए कि मीडिया में भी कुछ मर्जिंग वगैरह हो रहा है एक्विजिशन जी का. एनी न्यूज़?
काफी चलता रहता सर मीडिया में तो, लेकिन इतनी जल्दी न्यूज़ मतलब स्टोरी जो है इतनी जल्दी बढ़ती नहीं है. जी के अराउंड और बाकियों के अराउंड काफी NDTV, नेटवर्क 18 ये सब ऊपर तो उठ रहे हैं बट कोई सॉलिड न्यूज़ है नहीं इसमें अभी. तो I'll not be very gung ho about it on that front. तो PEL का आप कह रहे हो नेक्स्ट मंथ का करूं सेल? सॉरी PEL नहीं, HAL का. तो नेक्स्ट मंथ का फ्यूचर सेल कर रहा हूँ. ऑप्शन 26 में. ठीक है, एक बारी मुझे बता दीजिए if I am thinking right. What is the target you want to keep, Anukrant?
Yeah, close to 1500.
There is a demand zone here 1400 पे. लेकिन इसका अगर ATR देखूं तो कितना चलता है एक महीने में, देख लेते हैं. what is realistic here? 200 पॉइंट्स की मूवमेंट आ सकती है एक महीने में इसमें. 200 तो 1673 है. 1473 तक आ सकता है. That's what this is. इस डिमांड जोन तक तो पहुंच नहीं सकते. तो इधर एक डिमांड जोन बना हुआ है. That's where probably it can land up. So 1560 के आसपास का एक टारगेट हम रख सकते हैं पुट सेल के लिए. और 1600 पे कहीं कॉल ले सकते हैं. ओके, लेट्स सी इफ वी हैव इनफ ओआई. तो नेक्स्ट मंथ में ओआई अभी है नहीं अनुक्रांत, तो it's getting a bit challenging, but I'll still try. Okay, 1500. Which one should I do the put sell? 1500 or 1560?
1500 कर सकते हैं.
बहुत ही कम है. Okay, so what you are getting, एक याद रखना, नेक्स्ट अगर ट्राई आउट करना है तो वी हैव 1560. या दैट्स आवर ओनली चॉइस. तो इसमें अगर एक महीना हम वेट करें इस ट्रेड में तो 35,000 का प्रॉफिट है और 12,000 का लॉस है मैक्सिमम. If you are willing to take that kind of a risk,
Premium.
so this is what it comes out to be.
Premium 54.
Can I show you a list of companies जहाँ पे कॉल राइटिंग ज़्यादा हो रही है और पुट से लोग भाग रहे हैं, and how things are coming up here. So clearly एक अच्छी खासी मूव इन स्टॉक्स में आई है. तो कोलपैल में मूवमेंट अपसाइड की आ रही है, बट मुझे यहाँ पे एफएनओ में एक्टिविटी कुछ खास बनती दिखाई नहीं दे रही. पॉली कैब में जिस तरीके से फॉल हुई है उसमें डेफिनेटली एक्सपेक्टेड फॉल कंटिन्यू हो सकता है. अदानी पोर्ट्स और यूबीएल में राइज है. एचएएल में अभी भी कहीं ना कहीं एफआईआई का पुश है, तो जस्ट बी केयरफुल ऑन दैट अनुक्रांत. So I am hoping कि अगर if I have to build a story, okay, so कोलपैल के फ्यूचर्स में राइज हुआ है, दालमिया भारत सीमेंट इसमें राइज हुआ है, बायोकॉन में राइज हुआ है, एसीसी. तो दो सीमेंट कंपनीज मुझे दिख रही हैं, एक अदानी पोर्ट. सब तीन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कंपनीज दिख रही हैं मेरे को जिसमें कुछ कुछ राइज हुआ है. बैंक्स तो सारे ही फॉल हुए हुए हैं यहाँ पे. एंड इफ आई स्ट्रांगली बिलीव अगर कोई थीम ओवरऑल सेक्टर में चल रही है और आपका स्टॉक उसमें लीड कर रहा है, वेदर इट्स गोइंग अप और इट्स गोइंग डाउन, आई थिंक चांसेस आर मच हायर इन दैट फ्रंट.
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तो
है ना? तो द वे वी बिल्ट एचएएल, लेट्स जस्ट क्विकली हैव अ लुक कि एसीसी जो सीमेंट की है, अगर ये ऊपर जा रही है, वुड दैट बी अ बेटर स्टोरी? और दालमिया भारत भी ऊपर जा रहा था, वुड दैट बी अ बेटर स्टोरी? दैट्स द क्वेश्चन.
एसीसी बेटर है.
क्या वॉल्यूम के साथ जा रहा है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की स्टोरी हो सकती है. नेक्स्ट टारगेट्स भी यहाँ तक हो सकते हैं 2500 एंड ऑल तक. सो दैट आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर वी आर कमिंग फ्रॉम कि इट शुड हैव सम थीम विच इज सपोर्ट. एक वन ऑफ कंपनी का एग्जांपल हो भी सकता है, यू कुड स्टिल बी अ विनर इन दैट गेम, बट there is a lot of risk involved. As you know, we are seeing you could lose 12,000, yes, but you could make 35,000. But if the overall theme is not supportive, तो आपका जो टारगेट है एचएएल में वहां तक जाएगी नहीं जाएगी, दैट आल्सो कंटिन्यूज टू बी क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज फर्स्ट यू नीड टू ब्रेक इवन, राइट? तो अगर अभी स्टॉक 1688 के आसपास है, पहले उसको
200 गिरेगा नहीं.
100 पॉइंट्स से पहले लूज करने हैं.
करेक्ट, वो उतना नहीं गिरेगा.
या
Makes sense.
तो इस हफ्ते जो अच्छी मूव्स आई हैं, बाय द वे जुबिलेंट फूड्स हमने कितनी बार पहले भी डिस्कस किया हुआ है. जुबिलेंट फूड्स ने एक अच्छी मूव, जी अनुक्रांत बताइए.
कॉल और पुट दोनों सेल करके रखा हुआ दोनों.
तो कॉल्स कितने पे सेल किया हुआ है अनुक्रांत?
मेरा एक सेकंड में बताता हूँ.
वी हैव बीन डिस्कसिंग जुबिलेंट फूड जब से ये यहाँ से रिवर्सल ले रहा है. आई थिंक एवरी वीक इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ दिस गेम प्लान सीरीज हमने ये डिस्कस किया कि ये रिवर्सल ले रहा है, ले रहा है, ले रहा है. अभी भी इसने जो सपोर्ट लिया, आई थिंक एग्जैक्टली हमारे वीकली डिमांड जोन से सपोर्ट ले लिया है. ऑफ कोर्स इस वीक मार्केट थोड़ी सी टफ है, तो इट्स नॉट विलिंग टू गो अप एग्जैक्टली, और काइंड ऑफ साइडवे कैंडलस्टिक उसने बना दी है. बट जिसने भी इस पे पुट सेल किए थे, अब तो इसका स्टॉक स्प्लिट हो गया है, बट जिसने भी इसके पुट सेल किए थे, आई थिंक दे हैव मेड अ लॉट ऑफ मनी. तो जुबिलेंट फूड्स डिड मेक अ राइज हियर इन दिस वीक. अच्छा राइज दिया था, समवेयर अराउंड 7 or 8% का. CET I have told you has shown a rise. Scient, if I'm pronouncing correctly, is a company from technology. Sorry?
One question on Jubilant. So we discussed earlier. I've had some discussions with people at the lower level on some restaurants also.
Yeah.
So what we are observing, even I am observing when I go out, is that restaurant dining is increasing by leaps and bounds.
Right.
But as far as I am concerned, from whatever I've seen in the business, जहाँ तक takeaway and deliveries etc., they will taper off unless people come back to the cities from their houses and full offline work starts. Okay. So how is Jubilant placed in the restaurant business? I don't think Jubilant is placed very well in the restaurant business, right?
सर
So from
जो
the
रेस्टोरेंट है वहां से भी तो डिलीवरी हो रही होगी ना, इनके रेस्टोरेंट से भी तो डिलीवरी हो रही होगी.
delivery is now a previous story. So I mean, it might have a bump up, but I mean, if you were to hold it for another year or so, it might not really give you stellar returns.
No. So look, for us the story was Jubilant Food Works में हम पुट सेल करेंगे. हमें नहीं पता कि ऊपर कब जाएगा, हमें बस ये पता था कि यहाँ एक स्ट्रॉन्ग रिवर्सल है. Similarly, Scient company is into some kind of commercial services, I think like Quest. Again, Diwakar, maybe
Scient is an engineering services company like Tata Elxsi.
Okay, so it is technology basically. Yeah. तो इसमें कुछ डबल बॉटम सा बना हुआ है, राइट? जिस टाइप से ये मूव्स दे रहा है, अगर इस टाइप की हमें मूव्स मिल जाती हैं, these are strong. I mean, I'm not suggesting that you should buy this company क्योंकि ओवरऑल टेक्नोलॉजी काफी वीक है, बट आई एम जस्ट शोइंग यू एज एन एग्जांपल. जो जुबिलेंट फूड्स में भी कुछ टाइम पहले हुआ था कि अपने जोन के अंदर आता है एक बारी, एंड दिस इज अ मंथली डिमांड जोन. ओके, एक बारी अपने जोन के अंदर आता है, it tries to get out, it tests again, it comes and tests again, and once it's testing again, you have to look at the shape and you have to look at the volume, how it is stepping out. Okay, so from a technical standpoint, this kind of formation looks very encouraging to me. अगर ऐसा हो रहा है तो rather than going again to the lower limits of its zone, it is already started to come up with good volume. So if you find these kind of examples in a sector where the theme is still positive, I think just go for it or share those names. That will be my view when we are picking up from a technical standpoint. तो हमने कोल पैल डिस्कस किया, साइंट डिस्कस किया, जुबिलेंट किया, होंडा पावर भी हम लोगों ने कर लिया है. So more or less we have covered our list of stocks. So let's see how this week plays out. We'll come up with more ideas, new thoughts around where is the growth coming in. But clearly we are in some kind of a bearish market. थोड़ा सा और हमारे साथ bear कर लीजिए and we might.
और ये your view of monthly expiry.
The view of monthly expiry हमारा ये है, and the numbers are which is same as weekly expiry. Call is heavy, 0.72 का PCR चल रहा है. कॉल इज हैवी, तो कॉल राइटिंग जिन जिन लोगों ने कॉल राइटिंग की थी और अगर अपने बोलिंजर बैंड के आसपास की थी 18,000 की, यू नो, इफ आई जस्ट शो यू हाउ दिस टू ओवरले, तो 18,000 के आसपास सबसे ज्यादा कॉल राइटिंग इसलिए हुई है क्योंकि बोलिंजर बैंड उसके आसपास से जा रहा था. अगर आपने और भी सेफ रहना है तो ऊपर थोड़ी थोड़ी और कॉल राइटिंग है, बट सबसे मैक्सिमम तो वहीं पे चल रही है. तो
वो भी निफ्टी देखे तो मिड पे चल रहा है वैसे.
हाँ जी, तो निफ्टी जी
बॉलिंजर पे
एग्जैक्टली वो अपने 20 SMA विच इज द मिड पॉइंट ऑफ द बोलिंजर, वो उसी के आसपास ही
20th में चल रहा है
रहने का. Cool. So I think that's it, guys. We will meet next week. And yes,
I have one question at a higher level. So with the bond yields also increasing and the interest rates increasing in the US, people are pulling money out. Yes, but this is basically they're going to rejig their portfolios, right? The market forces will get to an equilibrium very soon. So in
Nothing.
that case,
Hmm.
do we see volumes go down drastically? Because if the volumes go down drastically for India, we will basically be out of the game, and then a lot of these stories might not play out as we see. Right? Is that a risk that we have?
See, I believe कि इस स्टेज पे आगे एक फॉल तो आना चाहिए, बट उस फॉल के पॉइंट के बाद लेट्स से 15,000 पे you should see good volumes, but you might not see good movement. Okay, that's where we will say that FIIs and DIIs are giving tough competition to each other. तो अगर
Okay.
आपको वॉल्यूम तो सर हमेशा अच्छी चाहिए. If somebody is selling and the other one is buying, that means less movement in the stock but heavy volumes coming in की possibility of a reversal. अगर
True.
वॉल्यूम अच्छी नहीं है और वो बेचते चले जा रहे हैं, बेचते चले जा रहे हैं, तो that means कि अभी कोई रिवर्सल
ड्रॉप है, क्रैश
नजदीक नहीं है, and that is
नहीं है।
going to be even more challenging, as you rightly said. If volumes dry up, that's a problem for our country. बट मुझे नहीं
या
लगता इतनी जल्दी ड्राई अप होगी. इंडिया एज अ स्टोरी जब जब नीचे जाती है ऊपर आ ही जाती है, जल्दी ही वापस आ जाती है. एंड आई थिंक
लार्ज कैप स्किल हाँ
if you see where India stands in terms of all the emerging markets, इंडिया की स्टोरी इमर्जिंग मार्केट की अभी भी इंटैक्ट लगती है. So that I think
इंटैक्ट है हाँ इंटैक्ट
Exports
है
data देखें, I think the Adani port increased because it took up a stake in one of the maritime companies. But overall logistic and जो exports India से हो रहे हैं, ports से जो movement हो रहा है, that has gone up. अभी चाइना में लॉकडाउन है, we have to understand कि वो major exporter है mostly, and
yeah
quite a bit of it from Russia, Ukraine war, and China is coming back to India. For example, wheat is one
yeah
example.
yeah
और UK के जो बोरिस जॉनसन है, वो the thing is
करेक्ट
defensive sectors are also going to go up because that's what is the next leg of investment from the government if private sector is.
yeah
So overall, the I think the manufacturing and with that the exports should increase for India, and that should keep the story intact.
correct
करेक्ट
correct. This is a recent article by Mint, and we are just looking at the rankings of emerging markets. Of course, it's a composite index. They take into account a lot of factors.
8.2 जीबी
Uh,
कितना है हाई
but if you see, इंडोनेशिया फिलीपींस का साइज तो छोटा है, बट अगर हमारे बड़े कॉम्पिटिटर देखें, ब्राजील, चाइना, सो वी आर स्टिल अबव. अगर कहीं इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स में लोगों ने पैसा डालना है, आई डोंट थिंक इंडिया कैन बी इग्नोर्ड. इनफैक्ट मुझे तो
So
लगता है कि अगर नीचे आएगी तो खुद एफआईआईज यहीं से खुद ही खरीदना शुरू ना कर दें. That is quite possible. So
quite
the
possible.
question is that when will FIIs come back? That will make Divakar happy. So if this is the level 15,000, I am very hopeful कि India's story intact रहेगी. And as I shown you this particular slide, I am more on the right side. But if that right side is
झुनझुन वाला भी राइट साइड में है. झुनझुन वाला कहता है
correct,
15,000 से नीचे नहीं जाएगा.
हाँ, तो अगर that is the case, stay invested. Be ready with more cash when it reaches 15,000. That will be, I think, final word on this my side.
There was a CNBC interview
Hmm.
where they were interviewing Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, and he was like, "I am very bullish. I am very bullish," and then he sort of said, "Ek minute ruko," and I think he forgot to put his phone on, his mic on mute, and then he picked up the call from his broker and he was saying, "Arey, usko bhej do, usko bhej do."
And there you're telling
So
an inside story.
no, this was there. I think you can still find it on YouTube. So see, um,
Hmm.
I mean, I do agree that he makes a lot of his money, but um, when he comes and says that it won't go below a certain level, I really don't believe it.
Hmm.
And I get even more excited that probably it'll go down below that level.
Yeah.
The problem is that he has got that much of capital now that it gets absorbed in it. So one doesn't feel क्या हुआ है. अब उसका Titan is the best, तो Titan में चल रहा है.
बट एक थीम पे तो हम लोग अग्री कर सकते हैं ना, फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीक और 10 days मार्केट्स आर नॉट गोइंग अप.
Definitely.
One can't say. टेस्टिंग तो हो सकता है 400 क्रॉस करेगा तो
Look at this how the formation has been. Formation. तो अगर
unless Sumit ji you moderate it to a downside, that's different.
नहीं सर, मैं कहाँ कुछ इसमें करने वाला हूँ.
Typical waterfall.
I'm sorry.
This is like a typical waterfall. 1, 2,
Yeah.
and then good one will be like a big sell-off.
Yeah.
Correct.
So how maybe this channel
6900 ब्रेक करने में देखते हैं कितना टाइम लगता है.
see how we can create this channel slightly in a different way. अभी तो कहीं मिडल लाइन है. इफ यू सी दिस मिडल लाइन where it is holding, मंडे को यहीं से आके अगर रुक जाता है, what is this level? 16,000. this would be the week, right? So यहाँ पे 16,800 के आसपास यही यही अगर लाइन इसको बचा के रख सकती है, then it's good. Although I'm not made a perfect channel, I'll still have to fine tune this and so
16,900.
हाँ, बट क्लियरली यही इसका लास्ट सेवियर है. कुछ मूविंग एवरेजेस भी अगर हम देखेंगे डालेंगे तो यहीं कहीं फिट होते हैं, और वहां से नीचे जाता है तो ये रहा हमारा 15,000 वाला डिमांड जोन. वहां से भी नीचे जाता है तो फिर कहीं ना कहीं 14,000 के लेवल्स हमारे.
क्योंकि 200 is 17 160 कुछ है. 200
वी कैन चेक दैट.
200 डालेंगे ना.
वीकली कह रहे हैं सर, डेली कह रहे हो?
नहीं वीकली, कोई भी लगा लीजिए. वो 200 160 170 भी आएगा, उससे तो नहीं आएगा. 180 शायद ही है.
तो 16,600 के आसपास आ रहे हैं ये वाले. आई थिंक आप डेली कह रहे होगे, तो डेली में देखिए ये रहे आपके लेवल्स. तो यहाँ पे आई थिंक इट इज द सेम विच वी वर आल्सो टॉकिंग अबाउट. थोड़ा सा ऊपर नीचे है, तो I'll keep a watch on this dotted line.
हाँ, 900 ड्रॉप देगा.
ये अगर नीचे चला जाता है
900 तो बियरिश हो जाएगा.
कि 0.67 भी है मेरे पास, बट इससे नीचे नहीं जाना चाहिए क्योंकि देन इट्स अ वेरी वेरी बैड क्रैश. और यहाँ से ऊपर उठना वापस 18,000 तक
बहुत दिक्कत है.
जिसने उठाया था उसने अपनी पूरी हिम्मत लगा दी. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम फीलिंग. यहाँ से उठना मुश्किल है, बट अपॉर्चुनिटी भी यहीं बनेगी. आई थिंक रिवर्सल आएगा. इट विल बी वेरी वेरी स्लो. पीपल बी वेरी वेरी कॉशियस हियर. ओके,
2-3 क्वार्टर लगेंगे इसमें.
2 तो लग सकते हैं.
अच्छा, एक चीज ये बताइए, दैट मीन्स अगर फ्यूचर हम देखें, ज्यादा थोड़ा फ्यूचर देखें, दिसंबर ईयर का फ्यूचर देखें निफ्टी का, तो यू मीन टू से कि नॉर्मल निफ्टी रिटर्न 10% नहीं हो पाएगा? नहीं,
निफ्टी अपने में एज आई सेड इट्स मेड ऑफ व्हाट डू यू से बैंकिंग एंड आईटी, राइट? और अगर वही दोनों में से एक कंपोनेंट पे तो मेरे को अभी भी श्योरिटी है कि उतना ऊपर नहीं आने वाला, विच इज आईटी. ठीक है. और आपका फेवरेट अगर मैं एक स्लाइड आपको दिखा दूं यहाँ पे, लेट मी ऐड टू दिस एंड आई एम गोना गिव यू अ स्नैपशॉट. जो आप हमेशा देखना चाहते हैं इज हाउ these guys were performing when it comes to individual sectors and all. तो मुझे उसमें आईटी में इसी वीक में सबसे ज्यादा फॉल दिखाई दिया था. सबसे ज्यादा फॉल
निफ्टी खुद ही 2% गिरा है. करेक्ट
जी. that's what troubles me a lot कि ये इतनी स्पीड से जो गिरता चला जा रहा है. आई थिंक जिन्होंने कमाना था वो तो ऑब्वियसली अच्छा कमा गए, बट अब दोबारा एंट्री यहाँ पे कब मिलेगी? दैट इज द पॉइंट. तो ये रहा आपके लिए स्लाइड. if you can see in this week 10 days, IT का इंडेक्स 10% नीचे. मुझे जो अच्छा लग रहा था कि ऑटो ऊपर आ रहा था, थोड़ा सा ऑटो ऊपर आ रहा था, एफएमजीजी थोड़ा सा ऊपर आ रहा था. दीज गाइस पावर, एनर्जी, ऑयल एंड गैस, पब्लिक सेक्टर, ये तो कंटिन्यू टू रूल, राइट. So
Correct.
in between is all sideways stuff,
Probably
not
positive one.
not going to be. But ये जब तक नीचे है, बैंकिंग जब तक नीचे है, ये निफ्टी भी तो रफली नीचे ही चल रहा है, देखिए.
Repull कर रहा है 10% चला गया.
जी,
This
तो
this is a
निफ्टी
weak.
Very weak, very weak. हाँ.
this let me show you the dates. Sorry, this is from the beginning of the month. I'm so sorry. तो अप्रैल का सीन है.
Okay.
इसमें अगर निफ्टी थोड़ा और गिरा 12% जा सकता है.
ये पॉइंट 1 अप्रैल या 4 अप्रैल आप मान लो, जो भी फर्स्ट डे था. एंड देखिए कितना मेजर फॉल आया हुआ है. अब कोई कह सकता है हाँ थोड़ा सा आईटी उठ सकता है, तो तभी उठेगा अगर बैंकिंग भी सपोर्ट दे. बाय द वे
पर
दिस वीक
पर इसमें एक चीज है, रियलिटी भी आप निगेटिव दिखा रहे हैं.
सर रियलिटी में तो
5%.
कोई खास कम है नहीं ना इंडेक्स में. व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज कि इस वीक थोड़ा सा निफ्टी सरवाइव कर गया था
लोन से
बिकॉज
बड़ा
ऑफ
नहीं था.
रिलायंस. रिलायंस वाज
Correct.
राइजिंग. तो अगर अब
हम्म.
रिलायंस में भी सेलिंग आ जाएगी, जो शायद हमें दिख रही है, क्योंकि प्रॉफिट बुकिंग तो वहां से भी होने वाली है, तो कोई भी निफ्टी को ऊपर रखने वाला खास बचा हुआ नहीं है, कोई भी नहीं है. आपके पॉकेट्स अलग हैं, मैंने आपको बता दिया. पावर है, एनर्जी है, पब्लिक सेक्टर एंटरप्राइजेज हैं, थोड़ा सा ऑटो एंसिलरी है, मैंने वो भी दिखा दिया आपको. बट यहाँ से उम्मीद करना इतनी जल्दी ठीक नहीं लग रहा मेरे को.
ऑल आर गियर.
Cool.
रिलायंस तो मंडे को गिर सकता है.
या
फ्यूचर डील नहीं हुआ उसका.
रिलायंस अपने मंथली में आके वापस नीचे आ रहा है, तो ये मंथ में इस ब्लू लाइन के अंदर ही वापस आ जाना चाहिए इसको. दैट विल इंश्योर कि ये पावर है मंथली सप्लाई में.
You remember 3 months, sorry, 3 weeks back we discussed Reliance, right?
या
It'll take off.
सॉरी, इट विल व्हाट?
We discussed 3 weeks back that Reliance would take off its high.
या
Right? So
तो ये देखिए अपने बोलिंजर बैंड से बाहर जा चुका है, तो द ऑब्वियस थिंग ऑन अ टेक्निकल फ्रंट हमने यही देखा है कि जब जब स्टॉक अपने बोलिंजर से बाहर जाता है, इट ट्राइज टू कम बैक इनसाइड. तो
करेक्ट.
अभी ये जो एक्टिविटी हुई थी थर्सडे को, दैट वाज क्लियरली ऑफ द मार्क. ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए था, इतना मेजर जंप. तो जिसने भी ये किया है, बेसिकली डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन फेज, वो वहां से निकलने की कोशिश कर रहे थे. दे हैव रिसीव्ड अ न्यू हाई, एंड 2800 के आसपास जो भी सेल ऑफ हुआ है, मुझे लगता है इफ जस्ट बाय लुकिंग एट द शेप ऑफ द कैंडल, दिस बाय यू कैन सी कि थोड़ा मोमेंटम डाउनवर्ड्स है इसमें, एंड इट शुड कम बैक इन दिस ब्लू जोन फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर मंथ. Reliance should end inside this blue color line. Cool guys.
इनका लिमिट
Stop here.
भी. हाँ, मैं तो लिमिट भी तो होता है ना कि
Stop here.
इंडिविजुअली कांट राइज बोथ होता है. हाँ प्लीज.
I think it was an interesting discussion.
वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग.
Thank you all for contributing, and I'll see you next Sunday. I'll send you the link to the recording also. Bye bye.
थैंक यू वेरी मच. थैंक यू.
Thank you. Have a good. Bye.